The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
Close the gate, close the gate. We have gunshots, we have gunshots.
Bernardino, multiple shots fired. We need a Bearcat. We need medical aid.
Those are gunshots.
More Americans die at the hands of Muslim extremists. The Factor is investigating this horrific act of violence in California, and there may be an ISIS connection.
On behalf of the American Muslim community, we unequivocally condemn the horrific act that happened today.
Despite condemnation from mainstream Muslims, there's no question the image of Islam is severely damaged in America. We'll comment on that. Sometimes when you're up there, you get overly excited. You got to kind of be careful. Also ahead, a very lively interview with Donald Trump, who remains the front runner in the Republican presidential sweepstakes. Are you going to have assassins roaming around shooting the families of the terrorists? Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. More Americans die at the hands of Muslim extremists. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The death toll remains at 14, 21 wounded after two Muslim extremists attacked a public facility in San Bernardino County, California yesterday. Now here is the update tonight. 28-year-old Saeed Farouk and his 27-year-old wife Tashfeen Malik left their 6-month-old daughter with a relative and then embarked on a day of murder. Farouk worked as an environmental inspector for the county and attended a holiday luncheon at the Inland Regional Center. Farouk left the celebration, returned a short time later with his wife brandishing semi-automatic weapons. The pair opened fire, shot off approximately 70 rounds, then left after about 5 minutes. Acting on a tip, police traced the couple to a home in nearby Redlands where a car chase began. It ended with Farouk and Malik being shot dead by police. 2 officers were injured in the action. They are okay this evening. Now, what really happened? Authorities say Farouk, an American citizen, and Malik, a Pakistani, rented a home where they apparently made bombs and accumulated weapons and a massive amount of ammunition. A number of reports say Farouk was an extremist with an ISIS connection, and that makes sense, as you don't have a house full of bombs unless you have terror on your mind. Also, ISIS immediately praised the mass murder, calling the killers, quote, lions. So now we have yet another terror attack generated by Islamic fanatics, one born here, the other a Pakistani. The damage these two have caused spreads far beyond the dead and wounded. Good American Muslims are devastated. Talked with a doctor in Chicago, solid citizen. His family has been here for more than a century. He, his wife, and his children now feel branded because of all the terror in the name of Allah. There are literally millions of good Muslims all over the world being battered by these ISIS killers and their fanatical followers. In addition, the mass murder in California has political implications, which we'll examine this evening. Once again, the terror spotlight is directly on President Obama, who has been soft on fighting the jihad, and now has angered many Americans almost beyond description. Critical mass has indeed been reached. And that's a memo. Now for the top story. Last night, as we were reporting the breaking news from California, The Factor was the first news operation in the world to identify the primary killer.
The name Farouk Saeed came out as the suspect who went into this meeting/holiday party, left angrily, and they believed was the one who came back and initiated the shooting.
Well, once again, joining us from Washington, Jim Hansen, and from Los Angeles, Aaron Cohen. Both are counterterrorism experts. Mr. Hansen, congratulations on that breaking story. What can you tell me that's new this evening?
Well, Bill, I think the fact that the police and FBI are now announcing that they found jihadist materials, that there was an online presence of jihadist sites with ties to ISIS, removes any doubt that this was a terror attack and it was a jihadist and his wife who committed it. Now, I think the thing to pay attention to, you mentioned that ISIS and its fanatical followers are besmirching millions of Muslims. It should be noted that when Pew International surveyed Muslims worldwide, more than 1/3 supported violence in the name of jihad. That is 500 million Muslims worldwide who do not besmirch themselves by ignoring this. They have supported it, and that is one of the bigger problems we're dealing with.
Okay. Mr. Cohen, this reminds me of the Boston Marathon bomber situation, which you have two people, and you have the China brothers up there. They come to America. The wife did anyway. The guy was born in Indiana. And they radicalize themselves for whatever reason, and then they go out and they kill and maim. Really no reason to do it. They just feel compelled to do it. Am I missing something here?
I think what we're seeing is a connection to Islam to be able to carry out acts of terror for people who are suffering from low self-esteem, combined with wanting to connect with ISIS. Looking at the tactical footprint here, Bill. There's a lot of similarities between the equipment that was stockpiled, which investigators found once they made entry into the home, between the attack yesterday and what we saw at Fort Hood, which was, again, multiple weapons. The fact that there was preemptive planning involves roots, and I'm not speculating here, and the most common thread for me, the tactical footprint on this one, and also the same with the bombers in Boston, is the level of aggression that we're seeing with these would-be terrorists, and that's the thread that I'm connecting here for the tactical
they're sociopaths, they're psychopaths, they hate us, and it doesn't matter who us is. You can be a child, a woman, a man. It doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are. They go in and they're just blasting away. So, Mr. Hansen, I mean, I don't know any society can stop that, a free society. Do you?
I think you have to look at the fact that they're not just sociopaths or psychopaths. They do have an animating ideology. That ideology is jihad. It is the pursuance of Sharia. It is furthering the goal of ISIS, which is a global caliphate. ISIS now has an intercontinental caliphate, and these people feel that their contribution is to kill infidels to further that cause.
All right, so they're like soldiers in the war of ISIS is their central command, and here they are. But you're dealing with a free society, a society that allows people to come and go. You know, again, these people, it's always the same story, Mr. Cohen, and you're out in L.A. Whoa, we never, how could this happen? The imam of the mosque where they, oh no, we never saw this. The guy's brother-in-law can't believe it. It's always the same. It's always the same kind of stuff. And it just seems to me that we're in a war. We're not really fighting it. But even if we fought it, even if President Obama was a wartime president, I don't think you stop this kind of stuff totally. You can't.
Well, there's no such thing, Bill, as total safety, but in Israel we've learned that we can get to a high degree of safety as long as the safety protocols are looked at realistically. And I know that's a subjective term. I hate to use it. It's very Israeli. But at the end of the day, if you don't take the aggressive posture, both defensively in terms of training our security forces here, a little less reliant on the technology, more on the behavioral profiling and the intelligence sharing, which we're not great at, but we're getting better at. What I mean by that is the egos have to come down in the intel war to collect the data and accumulate it and then be able to deploy it real time, which is the key with terror, and then be able to go after these threats aggressively using special operations force. If you don't do it the way we know it works in Israel, in the end, ultimately, you're going to fail.
Well, this war is now defined for all Americans except President Obama. He's not leading. I don't expect him to lead, but the folks are really, really furious. And then the other thing is that we're going to learn over the next day or two whether this guy was on a terror watch list, as Farouk and his wife, whether the authorities did have an eye on him. Because with all the social media links to ISIS and all the stuff they found, there has to be a link. And then you're going to see hell to pay if they knew about him and they didn't do anything. So, gentlemen, you stand by. We're going to bring you back in a couple of days because I know this story is going to have more to it. We appreciate it tonight. Next on the rundown, ISIS people are already here in America, as you know, and we're going to tell you precisely what we know about that. Then the political implications of the mass murder. We'll talk to Dana Perino and Newt Gingrich. Also, I had an interview with Donald Trump. Factors coming right back.